Hey guys, Goldstein here. In just around 2 minutes, you're going to hear the wailing of the siren throughout the land of Israel. Even though everybody's in quarantine still, some of the restrictions have been eased. And wherever there might be Israelis out in public, they're going to stop what they're doing. And for the 120 seconds that we all hear the siren together, they will stand in silence. They will pull their cars over on the side of the road and get out on the highway and stand in silence. But it isn't a silence devoid of emotion. It's not a silence devoid of feeling. It isn't closing our mouths and shutting our eyes so we can prevent ourselves from speaking, praying. It's simply understanding that we, all of us, no matter what language we speak, no matter what color our skin, if the Jewish DNA runs through your blood, you stand at attention for these 2 minutes. If you want to say Psalms, say it. If you want to pray to God, pray. If you want to cry on behalf of nearly how many millions of babies of our family that were executed in the same lifespan that our grandparents can still touch, can still remember. And if any of you think that this Nazism is dead, it isn't. It is as alive today as it was in the 1930s and 40s. Surrounding where I live are millions of people who still believe every day with their life's blood, with all of their passion, in this flag. This is the only response possible, is unifying all together no matter where we are globally, even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning for you. There are millions of the souls of our mothers, of our fathers, of our grandparents, of our children, who just like a normal day like you're living today, they've been seeing a rise in anti-Semitism. What a sterile word, instead of calling it Jew hatred for what's been for the past multi-millennium. And they said, oh, it's going to pass. We're all members of high society. We all go to the same banquets. We're all a part of the culture and the arts, the sciences, the universities. And that just like in every generation that has passed throughout our time in exile, they started closing us out of our professions. They started harassing us in the streets. And then they started rounding us up and throwing us into ghettos so we could starve to death and die of disease. Watch as our children fall in the street like wheat cut down. As the Germans were walking past like it's normal. Regular people like your neighbors who envy you, who don't understand you and fear you because of it. For how can you understand the Jew? How? How can you understand a nation where 6+ million of our people were turned into dust, who were tortured, abused in the worst ways possible? How can that nation leave that 7th layer of hell and then rise to be able to sound that siren? So all of our families hear it. All of our children that are growing like flowers in this land. As the Nazis of the past are dust. Dust. We won. And if it doesn't make you sad, and if it doesn't make you angry, then you need to revisit who you are. There are still tens of millions surrounding us who wish to do the exact same, who wish to push us all into the sea, whether it's with a gunshot to the head, a knife to the back, like my friend and our brother Ari Fold, or any other sick possible way, some way to devise death and destruction upon the children of God. And I promise you all, as I stand with this flag in my left hand over my heart, a rifle over my shoulder, with the Israeli Air Force in the sky, my brothers and sisters wearing Sahal, IDF over their heart, going into battle with Torah in our souls, and Merkava, Jewish-built tanks, in our lead, find me a nation that can stop us. That siren is no different than the shofar that we have been sounding throughout the generations. That siren is not only a memorial, it is a wake-up call. It is begging you to wake up. Millions of souls are screaming at you to wake up. How can you still be asleep? How can we have those in our own nation, in our own tribes, who have strayed so far from beauty and truth and strength and nobility, that they have traded their multi-thousands of years of royalty for the depths of chaos and darkness. How can we have those within our community, all over the world, people who identify as Jews? How can they stand on the side of those who still gleefully call for our genocide on a daily basis? We have work to do. It isn't just about Zionism. It isn't just about the flag. It isn't just about what you see here. It has to be more than just Jewish pride. You have to understand the depths of your history. You have to know who you are. You have to. Because, as we just heard, that same siren has been sounded tens of thousands of times down south, just kilometers from where I'm standing, where all of my brothers and sisters down there, some of those watching this right now, have been hearing a similar siren for dozens of years as our disgusting pig-like enemies. And that makes pigs sound bad. This nasty evil of Hamas who literally mimics Nazism. They've been hearing that same siren and they've been dying, both physically and internally, every single day. And what have you done about it? What have we done about it? We wave our flag and we say, Am Yisrael Chai. We take a day and we remember 6 million. I have a challenge for you. You want to make Holocaust Remembrance Day something worth doing? Then better yourself. Imagine you are surrounded by 6 million of your family members. 6 million. Imagine you have 2 million babies. Jewish babies, look at the pictures. They're surrounding you. They're begging you. They're saying Shema Yisrael in their sweet little voices. And they're being dumped in trenches. You have to explore why they wanted to kill us. You have to understand why a devil like Adolf Hitler and his henchmen and women, you have to understand how these seemingly normal, everyday, cultured people can sink to the lowest possible levels of humanity and direct nearly 100% of their resources, even while they're being trounced by the Americans and Russians. They're directing their resources to slaughter the Jew. It isn't just today. Keep going back in our history. Go back to every pogrom. Go back to Hebron in 1929, when our beautiful men and women, husbands and wives, daughters and sons were raped and slaughtered and beheaded, had their hands cut off by the very Arabs who they employed. Go back years before that to the other pogroms throughout Europe. Doesn't matter which generation you go to. Back to Purim, when Haman himself decided that this was the time to annihilate, Lashmid, to destroy every man and woman, everybody from young to old. This is nothing new. This is our history. Because without it, we would never get down on our knees and pray to God. Because without it, Yeshurun gets fat and kicks. And unfortunately, we have yet to unite. Unfortunately, we have yet to understand who we are. We keep casting off the burden of godliness and replacing it with chaos. Yet here I am in a country, in a land where I feel the power of unity, where I feel the power of brotherly and sisterly love. It's a hard country. It's a country surrounded by people who do not like us and who envy our success. It's a country that is always being destroyed in the news by global bodies, by the majority of kings and queens and leaders throughout the world. This is a land, this is a country, this is a nation that continues to fight and struggle and rise to the top. This is a country, this is a land, this is a nation that will never stop, never give up. Asolit Yaesh, We will never give up. Am Yisrael Chai is all we will chant, together with our Shema, together with our Torah, together with our yeshivot and prayers, together with all of our nation, those who believe, those who don't. We have to unite as one body, at least under the banner of Israel, even if it's not yet under the banner of God completely. We must find common ground. We must stand on that common ground. And the only common ground we all have is the land that my boots are on right now, that I will protect and defend both physically and virtually, and that you should be doing the same. Because we're still paying for the sin of the spies who came into this land and then came back and lied about it out of fear and out of a lack of understanding as to who they are and as to what God is. So we have to rectify that every single day, every single moment. And there won't be any more Holocausts. There won't be a nationless nation like we are promised in the Torah that will hound us, that will kill us in the streets. Those that are represented by this disgusting flag of terror, of genocide. It is simply happening because it has to happen this way. Because until we are united, it almost as if God has to keep putting us into this ghetto together, into the bomb shelters together. Take this time during this coronavirus, take this time during this quarantine, and really focus as to who you are. Remember, there are millions of our ancestors, hundreds of millions at this point, probably throughout the generations, over the thousands of years, who have been turned into slaves, who have been turned into ghetto rats, who have been abused and beaten and spit on, who've had their beards cut off in the streets, have been kicked, have been burned and shot and gassed and raped and had experiments performed on them. People just like you. Remember them. Find a name and read it and learn who that person was. No one of our nation should ever be murdered in vain. So get on it. Light a candle, say a prayer, and shed some tears for your family. That's right. These aren't just Jews who were murdered by the Nazis. This is your family. Start acting like it. God bless you all from Israel. How much we love this land. How much we love this nation. How much we are willing to put ourselves on the line so the Jewish people finally have what we deserve, what has been attached to us for thousands upon thousands of years. Come home. Take an active part in your future. God bless you all from Israel. Much love.